As we watch the 2016 race take shape, yes, I know we're still in May of 15, but still, we are hearing more and more complaints that the GOP has moved too far to the right, but also that the Democratic Party, they've also moved too far to the left. Now, not only that, but former Republican White House aide Peter Wehner, he's insisting in a Times editorial that, quote, in the last 2 decades, the Democratic Party has moved substantially further to the left than the Republican Party has shifted to the right. And Andrew, it's not just pie in the sky. He points to evidence, right?
Well, yeah, he says all you have to do is look at the last 2 Democratic presidents. Wehner calls Bill Clinton a centrist and says Obama is an unabashed liberal. Clinton, he says, stiffened sentencing laws. Obama wants fewer people in prison. Clinton installed welfare to work. Obama has softened it. Same with taxes, Wehner says, entitlements, and more. His final argument compares former President Clinton to potential future President Clinton. Wehner says 2016 Hillary is far more liberal than Bill on illegal immigration, gay marriage, incarceration, and a host of other topics, Rich.
Bourgeois? Is this where I say bourgeois?
No, that's in 5 seconds.
I mean, what? Some Republican
I've been waiting for this.
For the days of Bill Clinton? You remember what they did to him?
No. What they are saying, Richard, if I can keep us on track, is that the Democratic Party is moved to the left. Now, Bill, what I would say to that is, we're a product of the times we live in. Of course, Bill Clinton was not a supporter of gay marriage or even gays being able to serve openly in the military. Don't ask, don't tell. We could go on a whole host of issues, but that was 1992. The world has changed in 2015. I mean, look at Nebraska. I don't want to get into the death penalty, but all of a sudden, Republicans in that state just moved to ban the death penalty there. We go back to 1992, I'm sure things were a lot different. Let's just put it that way. Isn't this more a product of the times, or do you think the party really is a much more left party than right?
I think it's a little bit both. I've been waiting for this conversation for a while, because you see that it's not your father's Democratic Party or not your mother's Democratic Party. It does feel that very much that way. But the Republicans get tagged with the same label. I think maybe the parties are standing closer to their true principles and on both respects. The Republican Party, I don't think, has moved further right. I think it stayed consistent since Ronald Reagan. It's a conservative party. But the Democratic Party is now a liberal party.
I will get to that one in a second, the Republican, but just for the Democratic side, from the Democratic side, you have voiced frustration at the times that the administration, the Democratic Party is not the Elizabeth Warren Democratic Party that you'd like to see, more of a progressive party, and that they've capitulated on certain social issues.
Wait a minute. You're confusing social issues where there's all kinds of flux and the economic
well, certainly in the economic.
And as Bill Clinton said, if you want to quote Bill Clinton, it's about the economy, stupid. Sorry, nothing personal.
Yes, I don't take offense.
On economic policy, Republican Party has moved way to the right of Ronald Reagan.
Trust me, we're going to get to Republicans in a second. Focus on Democrats. The Republicans have claimed the Democrats and this president are about wealth redistribution. They call them socialists and everything else on the economic policy.
Socialist.
Don't tell me this is the first thing you've heard them say that.
But you want me to make a serious intellectual response?
Well, that's the argument that they've moved so far left.
Bourgeois?
Well, I seem to recall reading a column on Huffington Post that would seem to indicate that not every Democrat is moving towards a socialist economic standing.
Well, not every Republican is jumping off.
Oh, that's another member of the media who wrote that thing, right? Oh, that was Brodsky.
That would be me, right? The fact of the matter is that a concern for the enormous concentration of wealth is a phenomenon that is new, and an approach and a response to it. You didn't have that phenomenon in 1992 because we didn't have years and years of the Bush tax cuts and the Bush economic mess and the financial meltdown.
Point 2 before I get there.
What do you Republicans
Richard Brodsky,
think? Yes?
Democrats not moving too far to the left. Okay, now what about the other side, Andrew? You heard Bill, perfect segue, Bill, thank you, saying that the Republican Party is really staying true to the roots here. If anything else, they're not moving further to the right.
Well, guys, Bill in particular, I want to read 2 party platform positions to you, and you tell me which party wrote them. The first platform says Hispanics should not be barred from opportunities because English is not their first language. It cites the need for dependable and affordable mass transit in cities, which are a prospect for significant energy conservation. And on abortion, we recognize differing views on this question among Americans and in our own party. Here, compare that to this platform that supports English as the official language, saying Dems replacing civil engineering with social engineering and an urban vision of dense housing and government transit. And on abortion, they say an unborn child has a fundamental right to life which cannot be infringed. So which party wrote which platform? Well, you can probably guess that the second one is the one with the tough language on abortion and English speaking. That's the GOP from 2012. That's the convention that nominated Mitt Romney. As for that first platform, the one that was accepting of non-English speakers and was pro-choice on abortion, not only is that not a Democratic Party platform, that was the Republican platform in 1980. And their nominee that year was a guy named Ronald Reagan. So you were saying before that the party hasn't changed much since the days of Reagan?
No, by the way, I just saw you genuflect when you said Ronald Reagan, but go ahead. Yeah.
No, the Republican Party has consistently been a pro-life party. There are people that are not pro-life.
It wasn't
in
in
the party.
1980.
It is a pro-life party. Ronald Reagan was pro-life, and he was
You're
the
making
standard
it up as
bearer.
you're going along,
I'm not
Bill.
making it up as you go
He
along.
read to you the party platform.
Yeah, but Ronald Reagan was the party platform is what happens in the back room.
Platform, schmatform.
I mean platform, schmatform. I really do. Ronald Reagan was pro-life. He was a tax cutter. He was a smaller government guy. He was
a Big Tent Republican
He
guy,
was
though,
a tax raiser. That's
You
what.
know,
Forget what
he
he
had-
said.
he
He
had
believed
appeal.
in the Big Tent,
Yeah,
right?
he believed in the little guy. He believed in the worker, in the union guy.
He
and
raised taxes
as a
as a
governor.
president.
But we've had this conversation before. Ronald Reagan would be a rhino in today's Republican Party.
No, he wouldn't.
He would be to the left of George Pataki.
He wouldn't.
And he would be
It's a
so
myth.
far afield
It's
from
a
the mainstream.
myth. He'd be ahead of the pack of 16.
Go
But
back.
wait, just come back to immigration, though, right?
Yeah.
You look at Reagan and even the last President Bush, their positions on immigration. I'm just thinking, remember the last 4 years ago when they had raise your hands if you support this? They'd be the only guys with their hands down when it comes to immigration reform.
I mean, in '86,
Maybe Rubio, I don't know, but yeah.
when Reagan did the amnesty in '86, that was very controversial. He had a lot of fight within the Republican Party and in conservative circles.
Right.
It was controversial. It is again today. It remains that. But the essential three legs of the Republican platform and stool are all the same. It's strong foreign policy. It's lower taxes and less government. It hasn't changed.
That is the summary of positions that when you look at them in individual matters, that's not the case. The notion that the Republican Party hasn't moved to the right on austerity, on economic policy, on tax cuts for the
I don't
wealthy.
think it has. I think it looks that way
just
because the Democratic
ahistorical.
Party has moved so far left
think-
that the space in between is greater.
I think with the exception of like domestic spying and NSA-related issues, the country is moving to the left, whether it's on economic issues or whether it's on social
I
issues.
don't know,
For the
Andrew,
most part,
you look
I
at
think it's-
abortion,
I
for
think it's-
example, the numbers have changed.
I think
on
it's
that.
They've gone the other
ticking-
way.
I think
They've
it's
gone the other
ticking
way.
slowly leftward a little bit. But I do think that the Republican Party is moved further to the right than the Democrats have moved to the left. But here's the problem. It's the outliers in both parties that get all the noise and get all the spotlight these days. Whatever the middle is doesn't get nearly the attention that Ted Cruz gets.
I think everything
or
Andrew
that Elizabeth
just
Warren
said,
gets.
but I also think it's much more toxic or dangerous for those in the middle to actually work across
Yes.
the aisle than
Yes.
it has ever been, at least in my memory. Okay, when we come back here, red states are fighting yet another Obama administration initiative. This one deals with cleaning up the drinking water, but we're not just going to talk about water quality. The question is, have states here almost have too much power? How do we feel about states' rights and the feds? And more specifically, do you imagine trying to get Social Security through this Washington today? We're going to talk about that role here, feds versus states, after this.